So in today's video, I'll be giving my opinion on Cognition Labs, the latest AI software engineer called Devin AI. I'll say that Devin AI will not replace 100% of programmers in the near or medium terms, but something like Devin, or maybe something after Devin, better than Devin, would eventually replace software engineers in the long term, like the next couple decades or so. But the thing is, I don't think this is gonna replace software engineers soon. Like not in the next 5 to 10 years, but I think in our lifetime, probably something better than this. I mean, Scott is really good. I'm not saying that he's not. He's very technically strong in terms of computer science, but if you look at code forces and in competitive programming, right, there are definitely more competent folks. Folks are way more dangerous than Scott, and I believe that's something even more dangerous, even better than Devin, will be born in the next decade or two. In our lifetime, I think we'll see something significantly better than Devin be born in our lifetime. So that's my first judgment. And the thing is, many people think that, Devin AI will be a tool to improve software engineering productivity. Well, I kind of agree with that statement, right? I kind of agree that, it will improve software engineer productivity. But improving software engineering productivity does not mean it is good for software engineering job market. Yeah, you make software engineers more productive. It does not translate to better job market. It does not translate to higher salary. It does not translate to anything. It does not indicate anything better for us. We've had many tools that improve software engineering productivity in the last decade or so. But if you kind of look at it, software engineering salaries in San Francisco and Seattle and most of the tech hub have not been keeping up with inflation, right? So if you kind of pay attention a little bit, yeah, we have had a lot of tools that improve software engineering productivity. But it does not mean that it will be better for the software engineering job market, or it will be better for software engineers. Like higher productivity does not translate to good, right? It does not translate to anything good here for us. So I'm not sure. Like people think this will make software engineer more productive, yes, but yeah, what does it mean for us, for the job market, right? Will it give us higher salary, or will it give us lower salary, whatever? I don't know. So I actually believe that the productivity gain from Devin AI will actually negatively affect the software engineering job market a little bit, right? Both in the short and the medium terms. And I will explain to you why. The first negative effect that AI in general already have on the software engineering job market is if you pay attention on LinkedIn, if you actually screen resumes from candidates, you are a manager or you are an engineering manager, or if you are a senior engineer working with your manager to scan resumes of candidates applying to your job postings, also along with the HR people, you will see that there has been a surge in AI generated resumes. Like you can actually identify this. If you look at the resumes, like back in the day, if you scan resume, most of the resumes will have some sort of I would say non-smoothness or things like that. But nowadays, all resumes are kind of perfect, right? They kind of match the job description perfectly, which is good. I mean, I'm not saying it is bad, I mean, I'm happy that job applicants can actually write great resumes that actually match the job description. The only problem is like some of these resumes submitted to the job posting may not match like the real skills that the candidate has. So, it kind of increased significantly the level of noise in the job application screening process, right? So I'm not saying that candidates lie about their experience, but I would say that many candidates whose backgrounds do not match the requirements of the role that much, they can actually use AI to make their resumes almost perfect and sound as if they are the perfect fit for the job, whereas there might have been discrepancies in the past. So essentially, AI has made the software engineering job application process very competitive in the last couple months. I speak this from the viewpoint of both an interviewee and an interviewers in the last couple months. It used to be that resume and cover letters really help us, the interviewer, differentiate between different candidates. Nowadays, almost all resumes submitted through our team are the same. Everything is well articulated, matching with job descriptions, etc. Even though these are all good things for the candidates, it actually makes the job application screeners like HR and hiring manager and senior engineers much more complicated. Even though we have had a lot of AI advancement in the last couple months, the entire hiring process of senior software engineer and hiring manager and HR is still the same. We are still human screening, resumes from applicants, right? We don't currently have any AI detection tool that can reliably detect whether a text or a resume was written by AI. So we essentially, interviewers at tech companies, still screen resumes and filter candidates the traditional way, which is skimming through the resumes. It has become hard to differentiate between good fit and bad fit candidates. Everyone's resumes have perfect wording to the teeth. And from the viewpoint of an interviewee, it used to be that senior software engineers will have an edge in the market thanks to not only the technical skills, but also the verbal, non-verbal written communication skills. But with AI, everyone can draft the perfect email communication or resume or cover letters to send to the hiring manager. And the thing is, the hiring manager and HR are still humans, right? As I said before. And so they will likely be tricked by all these auto-apply resume bots and will likely mistakenly filter out otherwise great engineering candidate. Recently, I've been scanning resumes of applicants applying to my team alongside with my manager and a couple of other senior engineers. The resume was super eye-catchy and competent and sound cool, and guess what? We actually went ahead and did a brief phone screen with the candidate where we actually found out that what he put on his resume was did not match what his background was, right? In total, we wasted hours on a candidate that should not have been screened in the first place. And this has happened very regularly recently. Back in the past, we would say screening 20 people, we'll see one case like this. But nowadays, it's more common, right? We as humans still make mistakes, unlike machine. From my discussions with other people on my network, this also has happened to them more frequently recently. I would say that this resume noise is not only applicable to engineering fields, but also other fields as well. All resumes and cover letters are almost perfect nowadays, similar to all the job applications that are written by ChatGPT. You don't even need decent communication skills to write great resume or cover letters. It used to be that we also look at the resume and cover letters to judge whether a candidate is actually good at communication. But nowadays, everyone has the same resume. So we also have had a case where candidate applied to one job posting of ours with 5 different versions of his resume saying completely different things, completely different numbers. So essentially, the resumes did not actually match one another. I think it was either his mistake, or maybe he used an AI bot to apply to all of our auto apply LinkedIn job posting, right? Actually, I think he did not think that, or he did not double check that AI can actually hallucinate when applying to our job posting, right? So essentially 5 different resume versions saying 5 different things applying to the same job posting. I mean, if I'm a human applicant, I would not do that, right? So essentially AI in general, not Devin AI, but AI in general already messed up the software engineering screening process, And also the second thing is, if you actually look at it from the eye of the HR professionals, if you look into LinkedIn, there has been not this company, not any company in particular, but in general, there have been an increase in the number of garbage job postings. Has been a lot of noises. I know personally many HR people, they start using ChatGPT to generate job postings on LinkedIn, Indeed, and other sites, and it really makes the entire process really confusing. Because I'm not going to point to any company in particular, but I would say that if you just take a look on LinkedIn, right? Just take a look, search for software developer or software engineer. You see many job postings nowadays have almost perfect, close to perfect, writings, and it definitely feels like AI, because usually most HR people cannot actually write. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them I cannot actually write a proper and attractive. Usually they would make some mistake, for example, let's say they want Java and C++ and all these things for an entry-level candidate. But nowadays they are really good at hiding those information, actually very vague. Essentially, HRs are using AI to make even lousy, low-quality job postings sound extremely appealing. Empty buzzwords like fast-paced culture and we are a family get dressed up in artificially paragraphs of topicless text. HR also took advantage of AI tools to beef up their job descriptions. There are jobs that I read that I know are garbage, but were definitely very eye-catchy and drew tons of attentions and applicants. Some of these job postings have even better, more amount of applicants than Nvidia or some of the top tier, more interesting company project, because it actually sounds really cool, right? They made it sound cool using ChatGPT. Things, for example, let's say there are things like fast-paced culture, lots of room for impact, right? Which essentially means that monolithic code needing breakdowns, or things like we are a family, essentially means that, we will micromanage you to death and dump you without notice. That's essentially, they no longer mention like we are a family, or they no longer mention like, fast-paced culture anymore. They mask it up like, like nimble environment or some other words, right? They're really good at hiding all of these. Some HR people even try hard to become influencers on LinkedIn. And this is the dangerous part. They use ChatGPT to become influencers on LinkedIn, spreading garbage about how great their company cultures are. They perfectly crafted LinkedIn posts using ChatGPT to draw attention from desperate and unemployed software engineers who just got laid off to apply to their garbage job postings that pay 1 or 2 cents higher than federal minimum wage. Especially when you actually divide the 40 hours work week salary they're posting with the actual 80 hours per week of work you would have to put out for these fast-paced, money-losing startup jobs. Glassdoor is also a place filled with ChatGPT generated reviews recently that essentially, all look the same, right? That's why if you look at most of the 4 to 5 stars reviews, they're almost all the same. And that's also the reason why in my previous video I've said you should actually just look for the 1 or 2 stars reviews on these websites, right? Because usually the reality of these companies are usually going to be worse than those 1 or 2 star ratings, right? So I believe that Devin AI will make it incredibly easy for people to learn programming and build software projects. And thus, I believe that Devin AI will make learning how to code and learning how to build software projects easier for people who just started programming. And thus, it will make it incredibly hard for people to actually get high-paying positions right out of college because of simple supply and demand. So when you have more people learning programming, more supply of programmers, it will actually reduce the salary of the average salary of a programmer because now you have, supply. It's just supply and demand. You got to understand that Devin AI is not only a software engineer or an AI software engineer, but it's also a learning tool. And judging from this performance, like this performance was measured by Swebench, right? So if Devin AI is really better this much than ChatGPT, like many people nowadays use ChatGPT to learn programming. And if Devin is this much better than ChatGPT, I would say that it will really help educating people with programming, which is good. But then it will increase the supply of software engineers, right? And it will in turn actually reduce the average salary of software engineers. You understand, like AI, Devin AI or ChatGPT or GPT-4, they are not just AI tools, they are not just productivity tools, they are learning tools for software engineers. These AI models can explain lots of concepts better than many programmers that I know. It is essentially Stack Overflow combined with Check, and both are on steroids. I was retaking some MIT OpenCourseware the other day and forgot and stuck on some concept, and ChatGPT just explained the background perfectly for me. So I would expect the same thing with Devin AI. I believe that AI will greatly increase the supply of software engineers around the world initially, and then cause a massive salary correction. It is just simple supply-demand economic, right? So when the supply of developers increase, the salary of developers will decrease. If you think about software engineer salaries in places like San Francisco, New York, etc. in the past couple of decades, it has not increased much when you benchmark against the inflation of the house prices. When learning to code is easier than ever, and the time it takes to learn something cut down so fast from not having to browse Stack Overflow, but have the answers right in front of you, programming, I believe, will become almost like learning how to read and how to write. Everyone can actually do this, right? Essentially, when AI speeds up productivity, we will need less programmers. And when AI makes it easier to learn, we will have more supply of software engineers. And that would, in turn, decrease the average salary of software engineers even further. I believe that we are in an era where companies will spend more on AI investment like Devin AI and other types of AI than actual programmers. Programmers' salary will be stagnant around the world. This will make programming in most places no longer a 6-figure salary job when adjusted for inflation of the city or state that the salary was paid. And the dream of doing software engineer and owning a house, let's say in San Francisco, Seattle, will be farther than ever. If it is not Devin AI, it will be something else, guys. People online keep shitting on Devin AI saying it can never replace software engineers. Sure, not now, but just like Claude AI, right? Claude 2, beat it ChatGPT, maybe one day something else would be Devin AI. And that's essentially my third point here. And the fourth point I would say is Devin AI would actually increase outsourcing. I would like to call Devin AI or any of these AI models outsourcing 2.0. Devin AI and ChatGPT will close the gaps in communication, especially cross-language communication and cross-language programming education across cultures and countries. It used to be that the biggest gaps between outsourced workers and workers in the West are communication and education. But I think that AI is the greatest equalizer in human history. If you remember Google's mission, it was organizing the world information and making it useful. AI will organize world information 10x better than Google and make the world's information 100x more useful and 1000x easier to understand across languages. Specifically with Devin AI, I think it will close the knowledge gap between Western programmers and programmers living in less technologically advanced countries. This will definitely lead to, outsourcing on steroids in the short term, which means that it will accelerate and strengthen outsourcing when combined with the remote work trend nowadays. As I have said before, many software engineers in third world countries work remotely for tech companies in the Bay Area. Now, AI tools like Devin AI and Claude and Code Llama will be available globally just like ChatGPT, since they will need as many users as possible to collect enough data to train their AI model. And as such, foreign engineers will be just as productive, if not more productive, than their US engineer counterparts. They are hardworking and willing to put in infinite hours for lower pay. Essentially, they are willing to put in 996 performance and only ask for half or 1/4 of the 9 to 5 salary, and no need for health insurance or 401k whatsoever, right? So essentially, that's also another impact, right? So essentially, I believe that Devin AI and these AI models will greatly accelerate outsourcing and make outsourcing more competitive compared to, doing software in the host countries. It will make outsourcing companies more attractive and even more competitive compared to doing software in the original country, like most countries in the West. Also, I would like to touch on the last point. With further improvement, if it can reach, for example, 50%, right, or if something slightly better than Devin AI can reach close or over 50%, it will make it incredibly hard to be just an average software developer. When we talk about Devin AI replacing programmers, most people think that Devin AI is the job terminator, walking around naked like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator movie. But the thing is, I think it has become very clear to me that Devin AI will be replacing the average entry and mid-level programming jobs in the US, which means a really large amount of programming jobs. I don't think it will replace the senior staff or principal engineers at Fang or OpenAI who are actively designing the next generation distributed platform for training AI and etc. All these fancy technologies. In the short and medium term, it will be able to replace the average software developer in the United States. And when we talk about the average software developer in the United States, I think we can talk about the most popular programming language right now. If you actually look at the TOB index, right? The most popular programming language as of this year, you can see it is Python. So Python is essentially the most popular programming language in the world, right? And I would say that, probably in the United States too. And then, you can see here, maybe it won't be able to replace, software engineers who work on Next or Next.js or the newer frameworks. But we talk about like writing Python 2.7, right? I think Devin AI can actually write like Python code, the Python script that calls other APIs, that calls some other APIs, that call some other APIs inside Monolith, right? Which, I mean, many software developers actually nowadays work on Monolith. It might come as a surprise to you, but if you look at the average software developer, the highest percentage, and then you can see like many Java developers, most enterprises, they are not going to use the latest Java version. They are not going to use the latest C# version. They're not going to use even like Python 3. Like most enterprises, I would say, known and have seen and in my network, they actually use Python 2 still, right? So many businesses still use old version of the languages. We should have many data on GitHub, and I would say that these AI models can perfectly write code in older versions of the languages. It won't replace Rust or like maybe Rust programmers or some other programming language like CUDA or something like that. I think NVIDIA has a CUDA programming language. It might not be able to write CUDA, right? The AI models, but like Python 2, I think it can, right? It can write Python 2. It can write, some outdated JavaScript, and it can probably write some outdated like Java SE6 or SE7, right? It might not be able to do like functional programming in Java 18 or 20, but it can definitely like functional program, like not functional, but like OOP programming in, Java 6 or something. And, if you look at most jobs in the US, when you work for small, medium-sized business or even large enterprise, they mostly use, outdated language version, which has tons of data to train the AI on. So I would say that that is how it may replace the entry level and the mid-level engineers. You think about it, usually in a team of engineers, we have, say, 1 or 2 senior engineers, 3 or 4 mid-level engineers, and another 3 or 4 entry-level engineers. But with AI advancement like Devin, we will need less entry-level engineers, since the code velocity of senior engineers like us, who already have very high code velocity compared to our peers, will essentially be on steroids. This will adversely affect folks who are mid-level or entry-level. Most of the work going to entry-level engineers are sort of like starter, boilerplate code, and then, add some logic on top of it, right? Most entry-level engineers actually don't design systems or write super complicated code, like with some exceptions, right? Unless you work in a startup, a really new startup, where you have like massive scope. I would say that in the medium-sized to large-size business, most entry-level engineers actually write, a little bit on top of the boilerplate code, or they fix some simple bugs of some outdated frameworks or languages, right? They're not really using the latest version of Rust. They're not using the latest version of Java, latest version of Perl. Usually it's like 5 or 6 years obsolete compared to the latest version. That's usually what we use in enterprise, right? So most entry-level programming jobs just add starter boilerplate for more advanced features to be built by mid-level engineers. If AI can generate boilerplate for mid-level engineers, like even ChatGPT can do this now, right? We would need less entry-level engineers. And even if we recruit entry-level engineers, I believe it will be really hard for them because they will now have to understand system design. Like what I would predict is in the near future, companies will be asking entry-level and interns about system design. Essentially, that's what it is, right? So similarly, if Devin AI or something better than Devin AI can do a fraction of implementation for more complex feature, the need for mid-level engineers will also be less. There will be less room for entry-level and mid-level engineers to demonstrate impact to climb to the next level. Most entry-level and mid-level engineers need code velocity and productivity to get to the next levels. But with senior engineers outsourcing vast majority of coding tasks to Devin AI or something similar, there will be less and less need for entry and mid-level engineers who occupy lots of programming jobs. Okay, so in this video, we have covered the different ways that AI has already wrecked the software engineering job market, and the different ways Devin AI or something better than Devin AI will likely wreck the job market in the near future. And by the near future, I mean like 10 years or 20 years, right? While AI tools like Devin AI will provide significant productivity gains for software engineers, I believe they will also have major negative impacts on the job market for software engineers in the short term and long term. In the short term, AI is already making the hiring process noisier by enabling candidates to artificially enhance their resumes and cover letters. AI is also making dubious job postings sound more appealing. In the medium term, like 10 to 20 years, Devin AI and similar tools will make it much easier for anyone to learn programming and build software projects, increasing the supply of programmers and likely depressing entry-level salaries. In the longer term, AI will accelerate outsourcing by closing knowledge gaps and will reduce the need for junior and mid-level programmers, as senior engineers can use AI to be far more productive. Ultimately, while AI will boost productivity, I believe it will also make the software engineering field more competitive and potentially reduce the number of well-paying programming jobs available, especially at junior and mid-levels. Those looking to future-proof their careers should aim to develop skills that cannot be easily replicated by AI systems like technical leadership, system design, and developing cutting-edge AI itself. So I would say that one of my tips for entry-level or mid-level engineers would be you probably would have to look into system design. I also think that this will definitely make the supply of software engineers to increase sharply, because it used to be that we have to learn programming through Stack Overflow, but nowadays with Devin AI and all these AI tools, people can pick up coding very quickly, and so it will increase the supply of software engineers, especially at entry level, and the competition will be more fierce. And I would say that software engineer intern and entry-level engineers will soon be faced with system design questions that only used to be asked for senior engineers and above. So essentially, that's my take on Devin AI and AI software engineer in general. And that will do it for me. Thank you for watching. See you in next videos. Bye bye.